Does getting the latest, greatest camera make you the latest, greatest photographer? Well, no, of course not, but so many photographers, including myself, often fall into that trap of thinking that getting a new piece of equipment, whether that's a new camera, a new lens, is going to be the thing that catapults us onto the world stage. And while more often than not, that's not the case, there is one very good reason why your equipment matters. Inspiration. Let me explain. So, I bought this Canon R5 last year, and I bought it for some very good reasons which I've outlined in another video, but really it boils down to a few key points. It's got a really high resolution, it's got in-body stabilization, it's got a flip-out screen, and it's got really good video skills. It was a very sensible purchase that I decided to do after a very lengthy box-ticking exercise. Does it have this? Does it have this? Does it have this? And only when all of those boxes were ticked did I actually press the button and buy the camera. And as a professional photographer that shoots a lot of different sorts of images, from products to cars to macro to travel and landscape, I need something that I knew would perform really well no matter what I was shooting. And the R5 really does. It is an amazing camera. But what I've come to realize is that it is also boring. It ticks all the right boxes on paper. That list I made before buying it was absolutely spot on, but it just doesn't really get me fired up and feeling creative to want to take it out and take photos. It's actually just a very practical, professional tool. Now, in my head, I've likened it to a plumber buying a new van. Bear with me. This plumber will know that their van needs to be a certain length in order to get all the pipes in and all the tools and plungers, I guess. And they need it to be economical. They need it to be reliable. They need it to get the job done. But it's probably not their dream vehicle. It's not the thing they can really imagine themselves driving down the Italian coast. It's probably not the vehicle that they run their hand over at the end of the day and go, ooh, yes. The dream might be a classic open-top Jag or a beautiful new Aston Martin. The van doesn't inspire the plumber, and the R5 doesn't inspire me. I think it's one of the reasons why so many photographers still love film photography. It's not that they genuinely think that they can only get these images on film, that they couldn't do it on digital by using whatever filters in Lightroom. But it's that whole process of taking out these often beautiful vintage cameras, loading in the right film, waiting to get those results back. There's a whole dance around film photography, and it's that is inspiring people to go out. It's a totally different way of working. I think it's a similar mindset to why I've got quite into vinyl in the last couple of years. I don't think the sound quality is any richer or warmer or any better than simply airplaying Spotify to my HomePod. In fact, the audio quality is probably worse. But again, there's something about that process of selecting one of my albums, taking it out of the sleeve, placing it on the turntable, and then popping the needle on. At the end of the day, I'm still listening to the same songs, but somehow I feel more connected to not just the album, but the artist that I'm listening to. Now, I use the R5 for the vast majority of my shoots, both in studio and out on location. But I found more recently that I've actually been more excited to pick up my old Sony RX1R. I've been taking this out quite often for some moody black and white street photography, and I'm still really excited to do even more of that. And this camera is actually 10 years old, so it's not even like I've been excited to get brand new technology in my hands. If anything, I'm going the other way. And for some reason, this just gives me that extra buzz when I'm out taking those photos. And it's that buzz that's encouraging me to want to go out again and again and refining my skills. It's got nothing to do with the technology inside the camera. This thing isn't stabilized, it's only 24 megapixels, and the autofocus absolutely sucks. But still, this is the camera I often reach for when I want to take my own photos rather than my professional shots. This is the professional tool, this is the fun toy. Now, the dream, for me, is the Hasselblad X2d. It's medium format, stills only, stunning image quality. Now, I have used this camera for quite a bit when I reviewed it for CNET, and I am blown away by how great it is to use. Even just holding it felt amazing, and I have thought about that camera very often since I tested it. Unfortunately, I am not even close to being able to afford one. Even if it was heavily discounted, I think I would struggle to justify it. It's not even about it being more expensive and therefore unattainable. I've spent time shooting with Phase 1's medium format, and that thing is tens and tens of thousands. And that was again an amazing, surgically precise tool, but it isn't one that I felt particularly creative when using, or at least it didn't inspire me to think more creatively in the way that I felt I did with the Hasselblad. Then I saw Fujifilm's more recent GFX 100-2. That's medium format as well, and it's got a stabilized sensor, and it shoots Apple ProRes video. It's got various other bells and whistles too, all of which make it an amazing professional camera. And I found myself thinking, oh well, if I was going to spend bigger money on medium format, then this is the sensible one to go for. But that's exactly the thing that I did with the R5. It was ticking the right boxes, thinking, yes, this makes perfect sense. But it's not the most exciting option. And that excitement cannot be underestimated in our photography. It's what keeps us thinking about our images, gives us that drive to go to new places in different times of year and capture new shots. It's what gives us that creativity to want to take our own photography further. Or at the very least, it's what gives us that excitement to simply want to pick up our camera and go outside. If your camera excites you, whether that is a brand new one, whether it's 10 years old, whether it's digital or film, whether it's used, whether it's big or small, if that camera excites you, then that is what's going to keep you taking photos. And sure, I started this video by saying that getting new gear isn't going to help you. And that is still true, but it depends on why you're getting it. Simply upgrading to get a few more megapixels isn't going to transform your photography. Going from the R6 to the R5 or from Sony's a7 III to the a7 IV isn't going to light a fire under you. But finding something that excites you, that makes you feel happy just holding it and playing with the dials, something that actually gives you that happy buzz when you take it out and start pressing the shutter, that is what is going to help you take better photos. And of course, creativity and inspiration are subjective things. Maybe some better specs would help you take photos that you otherwise might struggle to get, and maybe that excites you. The huge burst rates of Sony's new A9 III, for example, might really excite the wildlife and sports photographers among you, because suddenly those better specs, those faster rates, meaning you're able to capture more images more quickly, and that might help you get that one shot that really stands out. If I'd have wanted a camera solely for my macro photography, I probably would have gone for the Olympus OM1. If I wanted something specifically for my landscape or maybe my car photography, probably would have looked towards one of Fujifilm's older GFX medium formats on the second-hand market. But I needed a real jack-of-all-trades camera, and that is the R5. It is superb at doing everything that I need it to, and I suppose in that sense, I feel a little bit conflicted in why I'm being so mean about it in saying that it doesn't make me feel creative. Is it the camera's fault I'm feeling uninspired, or should I really be looking inwards? Because of course, inspiration isn't solely going to come from your gear. That inspiration is very much a two-way thing, and if you found yourself completely losing enthusiasm for your photography, then getting a new camera probably isn't going to be the thing that helps change that. If that sounds like you, then maybe putting that money towards traveling to some interesting locations that can allow you to flex your skills a little bit more, or even trying a completely new genre of photography to see if that kind of sparks things up again. But just getting a new lens, that's probably not going to do anything. But if you are considering investing in new gear in the new year, then I definitely recommend really thinking about what it is that excites you. Think carefully about what it is you're buying and why you're buying it. If, like me with the R5, you've been box ticking on which camera has the right set of specs for you, and you're already kind of feeling a little bit bored of this new camera, then maybe you should be looking elsewhere. Maybe by taking a moment to pause and listen to your heart rather than your head might help you make the best decision for your photography. you'll end up with gear that you will be excited to use and you will love it for a lot longer. But that brings me to an end of what has really been a very talky video. But I do hope that it has been helpful. These thoughts I put here today have genuinely been things I've been thinking a lot about myself when I've been looking at the R5 and the RX1R. And I've been trying to understand why it is that some cameras make me feel more inspired, and the ones I actually spent really big money on only not that long ago really aren't doing it for me. But I'd really love to hear your thoughts on this, and if you've had any similar thought processes when you've been looking at your equipment. Maybe I'm completely wrong, or maybe some of you completely agree. So please do dive into the comments below and let me know what you think. But for now, thank you so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, please do hit that like button, and of course consider subscribing to my channel if you don't already, and I will see you next time.